Okay, good. Hey, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Extra Feature Podcast. Today I have fabulous writer, director, producer Lou Simon is back, and her film Era. Oh, okay, I'm going to screw this up. Agoraphobia is available on Tubi. 'Cause that's where I watched it. So please check it out there. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you for having me back.
So I got to start at the beginning. I mean, being a woman, I mean, there are lots of women filmmakers. I'm not saying there isn't. You're an independent woman filmmaker, and you've made more than one film. Because usually a lot of the independent films I get from women are one-offs. I don't hear from them ever again,
Oh, well, okay.
which is not something you would know. It's just something because I do this a lot. I know. I want to know how you got to where you are. Who taught you, or are you self-taught, or how did you get to be who you are?
I am completely self-taught.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, I wanted to be a writer. I did study being writing, but not even screenwriting. I studied creative writing in college to be a novelist. Um, so and I just segued into screenwriting in 2010, I believe. And that's actually how I got into films. Like I just wanted to be a writer, and I was on set when the first one was being filmed. And, like the director was kind of like giving really bad direction to an actor as to why a character was doing something. And I was like, no, that's not at all what the character wants, or, whatever. So and they just happened to look at me at that moment, and I must have had a funny face on my look, a funny look on my face, and 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 I said, no, this is the motivation behind that line. And then the rest of the time that we were on set, for like the next, I don't know, 8 or 9 days, they kept coming back to me, so I kept kind of directing the actors. So by the time we went to make the next film, I thought, I kind of already did this. So I I think I bought DVDs because I think I still have those. I think I bought some DVDs and just some basic like camera stuff, and camera movements and stuff like that. And learned that way. And that was when I directed my first real, full I got co-directing credit on the first one because that's how much I stuck
Wow.
my face into it. But the next one I fully directed, and that's Hazmat. And that's when I was like, yeah, I kind of like, being a director besides a writer, and that's it. I've
Okay,
been
I can have
directing.
many more questions about what you just said, but the more about this film, so let's get into it. I want to discuss how do you get emotion from your actors? I find your films have a lots of emotion and different emotion. You never let them stay stagnant. You see that a lot in films, but I don't ever see it in yours. So what direction do you give them?
I mean, I think for me, it starts with the writing. I mean, I like to make films with, for some reason, mental disorders are uh, a lot in my films. Because I like to think of how people tick, what makes people tick, what they're thinking. That's what makes to me stories interesting. So it starts with that, and after that, if you cast well, I think you cast people who understand where the characters come from, and then after that, it's just other than honestly, other than just like maybe the way they say one line or another, um, it's mostly already done for you with the script and with the right actor.
So where do you find your actors? I mean, I don't recognize anybody from the first film I watched of yours to this one. They seem to be all different.
Well, I was at the time I did Agoraphobia, I was actually based out of South Florida. So there's a, a film community there, but it's not huge. It's not LA, it's not even Atlanta. Um, and it's just very tight knit, or at least it was at the time. It was a long time ago. And we just it's a lot of word of mouth, a lot of, I worked with this actor or watching other people's work. And seeing, somebody short or something like that and being like, oh, that's a really good actor. It is I won't lie, it is fine at this level, at the indie level, it is finding, a needle in a haystack kind of thing.
Okay, let's start with the opening shot is a condo. I have room question mark condo. Is that the same condo as the end?
Yes. No, no, it's not. No, it's the house. It's the house.
It is the house.
Yeah, yeah, it's the house that she moves into. That's where that scene happens. I had to think
Okay.
about it.
So let's go to the location. That is like you must have rented this house. This house is huge. Lots
Yeah.
of room for you to move, lots of room to do things.
Yes, yes, yeah. It was a pretty large house. And it wasn't what was ideal for it for filming is it didn't have a lot of furniture. We actually had to bring
Really?
decoration and stuff like that because it had very basic furnishing. It was a bachelor living by himself, so he hadn't gotten around to decorating it much. So we actually had to put a lot of stuff just so we wouldn't have like bare walls and stuff. But it was a difficult situation because he was still in the property. He didn't he I mean, he wasn't there while we filmed, but we were filming while he was working. And he wasn't going, he wasn't we didn't have like full use of it for the whole day. So and we wanted to leave it clean for him every night, so it added a lot of stress to a situation that was, that's already very stressful normally. So
I found you used a lot of the house though. You must have had almost free reign because I mean you seem to move around a lot.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We had it, we I definitely wanted, because it takes primarily just in this one location. I wanted to use as much of it as I could.
How was working the drone? I love your drone shot. That was friggin' phenomenal. It was beautiful.
Thank you, thank you. We almost got arrested doing that. This is before they really started cracking down on drones. But for some reason, but people weren't really aware of them yet, like they weren't as popular as they are now. And we were shooting in the Florida Keys, and we had to basically drive over, this area over and over again, trying to get all the shots that we could use. And next thing we know, a police officer shows up saying, "Oh, people are complaining that that's some kind of, thing is spying on them and da 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 da." And I was like, "Well, we weren't doing anything illegal, but it wasn't worth fighting the cop over." So we were like, "Okay, well, I think we have enough." So we left.
Well, it's great. Whatever shot you used, I loved it. So just fantastic.
Thanks.
I gotta say, when the whole group kind of gets together at the beginning, when they have your main character sitting there in the wheelchair and Tony Todd shows up, a big grin came across my face.
Oh, of course, he's amazing.
So I have to ask, how'd you get Tony Todd and how was working with him?
Tony Todd, my co-producer in that Tara was acquainted with him. I don't remember now how she knew him, but acquainted enough, excuse me, that she could text with him. So she told him we were doing this movie and asked if he'd be interested in doing it, and he put us in contact with his manager, and he was game. He had never been to Miami before. And so for him, it was like, yeah, a paid vacation to Miami. But he was amazing. He was such a nice guy. He was so sweet. He came completely prepared. He knew all his lines. I've heard of other actors that are big names like that, don't even learn their lines and just expect you to have cue cards and stuff. That was not him at all. And he was even like, why didn't you write me more more scenes? I mean, he was really game. He would have loved we had such a great time with him. We took him out to dinner and hung out with him. Sweetest person. And when the whole thing was over, he actually had his manager send me an email saying that it was one of the most professional sets he'd ever been in. Um,
Excellent.
yeah, I felt I was walking on air.
Oh, I would be too. Okay, you have a shot with people walking through the front door and you're raised. You're at the top of I presume the top of the stairs over in Terrace shooting down.
Hmm.
How did you think of that? Like that is something you don't see in indie film at all. Like usually it's a straight shot at the people coming through the door, but no, you got the whole thing. You seem to be not afraid of showing people's heights.
And he's humongous. I just, I think you definitely have to get very creative when you have one location in order for it to not get boring. Um, and that includes coming up with different kinds of shots. Otherwise, it gets really boring and people feel very claustrophobic, even though the movie is about somebody with agoraphobia. But still, like, you don't want them to think, oh, there's just five people in a house, even though honestly, that's what it is, five people in a house. But hopefully, the story and the way you shoot it mm, lets you forget that.
I do have to ask, I've seen two of your films now, and two films have wheelchairs in them. Is that a coincidence?
Oh, yes, they do, don't they? Yes, a coincidence. I didn't think about that until you just mentioned it right now.
Okay, but I just think it's funny that the lead protagonist in the last film we watched is in a wheelchair.
Hmm.
And in this one, at the beginning of the film, when I meet the protagonist, she's in a wheelchair.
At the very, but she's not, yes.
She
Just
doesn't stay in it.
yeah, she doesn't stay in it. She's that's just the way she's brought into the house. But yeah, yeah, I hadn't even thought about that before, to be honest. Now that you mention it.
How's working with cats?
Difficult. And that was my cat.
Oh,
Yeah, that was my cat, and it was difficult. He was very scared. So more than anything, even though he was he's no longer with us, very sweet and cooperative normally. I mean, it was scary. It was scary for him to be around so many people and being in a place he didn't know. I didn't think about the part of him because he usually so was usually so friendly that I thought he'd be perfect for that, but taking him to a new environment with so many different people was not conducive. Next time I would do a dog for sure, or just not have a pet. But
probably not.
pets and children always people tell you are really difficult.
But if you took the cat out of the story, I think the story would be different. You would lose one big scene in it.
Agreed, agreed, yes.
I think you needed the cat because I kind of like the cat. I thought it gave her a companion,
Yeah.
and I thought allowed you to use some of your thoughts for it. Some of the things we need to know about her, you could relate to her talking to the cat.
Yes, that was the thought behind writing the role for the animal. But yeah, I just more than anything when it's your pet, it breaks your heart to see them unhappy, and he was very unhappy. But
Fair enough. Okay, there's a bathtub shot I want to get into. And I gotta say, as a woman, I mean, as a man, I know how I look at things. As a woman, you obviously look at things differently. I think you did a very sexy, conservative bathtub shot. Was
Yeah,
that your plan? Like, it is a sexy shot. I'm like, she looks great. The way you set it up, the way things happened in it, I liked all of that. Did that all go to this plan?
yes, that all went according to plan, except for the fact that the red didn't come out as red, at least in real life. Like once post-production happened, they made it look redder, but in real life, it looked more like pink.
Oh,
But in terms of the conservative aspect of it, yeah, you'll never see, and I'm gonna lose all your listeners right now, but I just don't like to have female nudity in my films. I feel I like having men shirtless because I feel like I'm trying to even the amount of times that you have gratuitous, nudity for women, so so yeah, I don't like even all girls weekend that it's all women. You would think at least one of them would show a boob or something. Not one of them do.
but I think that's okay. I mean, I don't think your film needs nudity to promote it. I don't think it's about that.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the on the horror fans. Some horror fans really, really, that's what they like, and they're probably not going to be fans of my work.
Well, no, I don't think it's, but I think if you saw your films, it's not looking for that. I'm not looking for that in your films, is what I would be saying.
Yeah,
I find your films have such a strong story, they don't need that. Do you know what I mean? To contain me.
Thanks.
to make me
I
coming
mean,
back.
that's definitely what I'm aiming for. But I have, I don't know, I'm members of I don't know how many horror groups, and I have once in a while seen people say that that a good horror film should have it. So that's fine. Not everybody's gonna like everything you do, but what can you do?
Okay, a scene in the rain. There's a scene that's raining. I think it's CGI rain, but I could be wrong because it does look like it could rain here a lot.
Scene in the rain. Hold on, I'm trying to think.
Outside. I don't want to ruin anything, so I'm trying to be polite. Two
Um,
characters are outside of the house moving quickly, and it's raining.
no, no, that's real rain. It's Miami. It rains a lot.
That's what I figured. Okay. I
It
like
rains
the way
all
you
the time.
was the shot always supposed to look like a black and white and color shot, or does that come later to you?
Um, no, it's just I think it's the lighting, and and the and a lot having to do with the color of the trees at that time of year that makes it look like that. Yeah.
Well, let's go into the lighting because I find your films are very well lit. Like even when you have a dark set in your last film, it's well lit. So do you work with the same lighting people, or is it you doing the lights?
No, not in this case. This case in Agoraphobia was a different crew altogether. And Nine Windows is also a brand new crew. So I do have a crew that I have worked with many times. But it's not in both of the films you have seen, it hasn't been them. But thank
So
you.
when you do your lighting as a director, do you know what you want ahead of time? I mean, obviously you had big bay windows. I understand lots of light would come through there, but that forest lighting shot's beautiful. Same with the bathtub. I would say you had to spend some time lighting that correctly to get what you needed from there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, we definitely before we film, I always have, meetings with the DP and tell them what kind of look we're going for, show them shots from other movies and stuff like that, and say this is what I would like this film to look at. And I since I don't have a technical background in film, now I didn't go to law to film school, so it's not like other directors who could say, well, use this light or not, don't use this light, da da da. I can't do that. But so I mostly can only convey an idea, a look, and they make it happen. I want to say it's only like been like the last three films where I can actually use more technical terms of like um the kind of lenses I want and all that thing. Like I've had to learn that you know, through time.
Maybe okay. I want to go back to two things here. First thing, you said you showed them other films. What films are you showing them?
Every I mean honestly, every film I've made is completely different in terms of genre. Even they're all horror, well, all most of them are except for one, they're horror, but there's still different subgenres of horror. It's a ghost story, a slasher, psychological thriller, I don't know what you would refer, Nine Windows to as. So
Thriller.
each one of them would be like a different subgenre, so it'd be a different look for me. So I don't have like a set look, set film that I go to. It depends on each story.
Okay, and how long you said you were learning the terms. Now, is that you learning them on set, or is that you doing reading when you're finished the film?
No, mostly on set, to be honest. Yeah. Just from enough time that I'm like, I want this look, and I'm saying, oh, do this, and and it just recording in my brain.
Fair enough. Music. I don't want to let the music go by because I'll be about to flip my note page and I'll miss it. So
Oh my God. I work with Michael Damon. He has now done the score for 8 films for me between my short and my 7 features. And he is phenomenal. And not only is he amazing as a gifted composer, but he's also like so easy to work with. I remember the very first time that I went to give him notes and I was like, walking on eggshells, thinking I was gonna hurt his feelings and be like, well, I really like it, but the thing is that I really like string. And he was like, Lou, just tell me. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. Just tell me what it is that you want. I want to, make you happy. Oh, okay. And then after that, it's been like smooth sailing. And I know that I can send him notes and just be completely honest with him and there's no issues.
So you have lots of water in your film, lots of water, all the time. Water. You have two bathtubs. You have other shots of water, but nobody's ever in the pool.
That's true. Nobody's in the pool.
I
That
thought that was kind of so. Is there? Am I missing ambiance for the water, or is there something deeper than about all the water shots?
no, no, no. I mean, just the ways of I thought of killing people. That's
Okay, that's fine. Shooting at night in the forest, I thought was very interesting. How did you like that? I mean, I know you have lighting people, but how did you get that look you wanted? 'Cause it looks great.
Thanks. I mean, we had a ton of lights for those scenes. A
I
ton of
thought
them.
you did.
I mean, I was very lucky in that film to be working with a lighting crew that had a ton of lights. So, and it took forever light, to be honest. We were late in getting started because it took so long to put them up. Um, but so much of it happened. And in reality, we only probably lit, I don't know, maybe like 20 square feet and then
Oh, I can believe it.
I just kept turning the camera so it looked like we were in another part of the forest, but we really were not. So
I figured that's what you were up to. It's fine.
Hollywood
Okay.
magic.
Okay, did you have a fashion sense that both people wearing purple have problems?
Say that again?
Both people wearing purple in the film have problems.
Really? No, I
Yes, these are things I
noticed that.
picked up on. Yep. I did. I had to go back and check. I'm like, yep, they both have purple.
Oh no, I didn't notice that.
Okay, these are things I just ask if they're subtle.
Maybe, like I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I
Fine,
thought of it and don't remember. I don't know.
that's okay. Um, did you dig a hole at some point for something?
Yes, we had to dig a very deep hole.
Okay, I'm trying to be as polite as I can about the hole.
Yes, we had to dig a very deep hole. And yeah, that was a lot of work.
So, did you participate in hole digging, or did you go, "Hey, crew,
You
this is up
know,
to you guys"?
on an indie film, it's all hands on. So yeah, I had to do a lot of digging myself. Yeah.
You do have an old school record player that shows up. Where did that come from?
Yes, my mom. My mom had it. And I was like, I had it in the back of my mind that I had to use it at one point or another in a movie. So it made it. And then I had to find two because there's two different scenes with a record player. So I had to
There
find the
is.
second one,
So, where'd
so
the second one come from?
like a friend of a friend or something like that. Like I had to go search for it.
Perfect. Okay, I'm going to move on to fun questions for you. Since you've already answered the easy ones, you get harder ones this time.
Okay, great.
Your favorite type of food?
Um, Cuban.
Okay, your favorite film from last year?
Oh crap. I barely watched movies last year. Um, last year. Oh my God, passport right now. I'm like totally drawing a blank.
Fair enough. Then I'll make it easier. Favorite book you read from last year?
It's not a book from last year, but I did read last year, and that's Edith Wharton's Age of Innocence.
Oh God, I haven't read that in 30 years.
I know, neither had I, so it was a lot. It was great rereading it.
Besides Tubi, where else do people find your films?
Um, I don't know, they're on Amazon and Google Play, and I think most of them now are on what do they call it now? It's no longer. iTunes, but Apple
Yes,
TV.
Apple, Plex, maybe.
Yeah, Apple TV and just a bunch of different.
Guys, just type in Lou Simon. They'll show up. I promise you. Thank you for your time and have a great evening.